Peppa Pig is one of the first things that comes to mind when we talk about kids' cartoons. After all, the show has been a massive hit and has been on the air for decades.
Wow.
Did you know that for that very reason, Peppa Pig has already been referenced in several other animated shows?
Oh, I can't believe Peppa Pig is in the kitchen!
Bluey only came out in 2019, many years after the Little Pig show first aired, back in 2004. If they were people, Peppa would be old enough to be the blue puppy's mom. But hey, that role belongs to Chili. Still, even though there's no real family connection between the two characters, the shows are closely linked. That's because the creator of Bluey, Joe Brumm, was an animator who worked on several British cartoons before launching his own project. It's no surprise he drew a lot of inspiration from Peppa Pig when developing Bluey, which explains why both shows share so many similarities. So it was just a matter of time before the Blue Pup show included an Easter egg referencing it. In the episode Bedroom, we see a pile of Bluey's toys, or better yet, an army of them, because there are seriously a ton. Among them, there's a bipedal pig that might remind you of a certain someone. Yep, Peppa. The outfit's not the same, but knowing Joe Brumm's background, it's not hard to see this as a subtle nod to the British piglet. And this is just the first of 16 Peppa Pig references and other cartoons that you've gotta see. So hop on board, Cinewave is just getting started. Craig of the Creek is another fairly recent cartoon compared to our favorite Piglet. This Cartoon Network series first aired in 2018, which, let's be real, already feels like a while ago. It's been 7 years. But even that doesn't compare to Peppa Pig's impressive 20+ years on the air, right? Just like with Bluey, the age gap between the two shows didn't stop a tribute from happening. In a scene where Craig plays a fighting game called Power Puncher HD Remix. It's a fictional game created just for the show's universe, and honestly, it's a shame it doesn't exist in real life, because it looks awesome. Especially when you see the cover art and realize one of the fighters is a muscular version of Peppa. Just imagine being able to select her and beat up all the other characters. That would be amazing. They should totally make a fighting game with Peppa and other kid cartoon characters, like Bluey as playable fighters. Something like Super Smash Bros. Or Multiverses would be so cool. Of course, one of the cartoons most likely to do that is Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom, which is just as kid-friendly as Peppa's show. In the episode The Tooth Fairy, Holly is on a mission. Can you guess? Yep, she's acting as a tooth fairy. She heads into a human girl's bedroom to collect her lost tooth. Among all the toys scattered around the room, there's one that stands out. It's a stuffed piglet wearing a dress that looks exactly like Peppa's. No doubt about it, this is a solid Easter egg. And the reason why the most famous pig in cartoons popped up in Ben and Holly goes beyond their visual similarities. The two shows were actually created by the same duo, Neville Astley and Mark Baker. In other words, these are technically self-references, designed to remind fans that the two shows share the same creative roots. Fun fact, there's also a few Ben and Holly Easter eggs hidden in Peppa Pig. Peppa's show, since it's made for very young children, has a mission to teach important life lessons. But the character also loves helping kids in other ways, like taking part in charity events. That's right, she showed up in a special musical number for the BBC Children in Need charity event, specifically the 2009 edition. The clip featured characters from all sorts of animated shows, even Ben 10 made a cameo. Everyone sang along to a fun upbeat song, and right in the middle of it, the piglet popped up on a TV screen and sang too. If you thought Bluey only gave one shout out to its biggest inspiration, think again. Another sneaky Peppa reference showed up in the show. At the daycare Bingo goes to, where she mostly just plays with other kids her age, you can spot a drawing of an animal wearing glasses. It might look like a dog, but the shape and color are very close to a Peppa Pig character from a different species. Pedro Pony, one of Peppa's friends. Pedro has the same color as the character in the illustration, and the nose definitely looks more like his than a dog's. The glasses make the resemblance even stronger. The only thing that's different is the outfit, which kind of looks like something a French guy would wear. That doesn't really match Pedro, but maybe that's the point, so it's not too obvious. Maybe this one's Pierre Pony. There's an even more obvious reference in Ben and Holly. Yep, you didn't think the show would stop at just one Peppa Pig Easter egg, did you? Not even close. A very important character from Peppa's universe shows up here, and we're not talking about Peppa herself or one of her friends. Actually, we're not talking about a person at all. We're talking about the pig family's house, which shows up in a painting hanging in the royal family's dining room. The image in the painting is a perfect replica of the house where Peppa lives with her family, right down to the hill it's built on. And if you want to pay tribute to her like these shows did, drop a hashtag Peppa in the comments below. Here's another really interesting Ben and Holly reference, and it has a lot to do with a certain character, Redbeard. He's a pirate who looks a lot like another character from Peppa Pig, Pirate. Yep, that's literally what they call him, just pirate. The two are super similar. They're both red-haired, bearded pirates with nearly identical outfits and an eye patch on the same side. So yeah, this definitely feels like a reference. In fact, there are even fan theories out there suggesting they might actually be the same character. Sure, one's a human and the other's an elf, which kinda breaks the theory, but maybe the pirate in Peppa Pig is just disguising himself as a human. What do you think? Have you ever heard of the web series Annoying Orange? We kinda hope you haven't because, well, the orange really is annoying. The show's totally bizarre and features a bunch of fruits with weird faces, centered around one orange who just loves to irritate everyone. In one episode, he actually meets Peppa Pig in person. Yep, they even head to a street fair together. We just hope Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig knows who she's hanging out with. Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers might just be one of the wildest movies ever made. It takes place in a world where all kinds of animated characters exist alongside real people. In this universe, Peter Pan is an old man, and even Ugly Sonic shows up. So of course Peppa had to be referenced too. In one scene, a police officer says that Peppa went missing last year, and a group of soldiers had to storm the Nickelodeon studios to rescue her. But then Paw Patrol fought back, and everything just turned into total chaos. Whoever wrote that movie was definitely feeling bold, huh? Even video games couldn't resist sneaking in a Peppa reference, and one Roblox game didn't even try to hide it. We're talking about Piggy. This game is basically a mashup of Peppa Pig and a horror title called Granny, where a creepy old lady hunts you down. The gameplay is very similar, but instead of Granny, the villain is a pig who looks a lot like Peppa. Believe it or not, it's not just cartoons that reference the little pig. Live-action shows have dropped her name too. A great example is The Big Bang Theory, a sitcom about a bunch of nerdy friends. In one episode, Bernadette shares what it's been like becoming a mom. One of the biggest changes? Now her TV only shows kids' cartoons all day long. She even mentions Peppa Pig, saying it's an educational and fun show. Looks like Peppa's got quite the reputation, huh? But not all references are sweet tributes or compliments. In fact, some of them are brutal parodies. Because Peppa Pig is such a kid-focused show, she ends up getting picked on a lot in adult animation. Robot Chicken is one of those shows that loves poking fun at her. In one sketch, we get what starts off looking like a typical Peppa Pig episode until Daddy Pig reveals he lost his job due to political reasons. By the end, he rips off his own ears and fries them up because the family has nothing left to eat. Dark stuff, huh? South Park takes it to a weird place too. In one scene, Peppa shows up at a kid's party only to suddenly feel sick from using illegal substances. Thankfully, it's quickly revealed that it's not actually Peppa, just some random guy in a costume. We've definitely uncovered some wild stuff in this video, huh? If you want more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you've never watched Family Guy, here's a simple way to put it. You know The Simpsons? Well, it's kinda like that, just way darker. In one episode, Lois Griffin, the mom of the family, is accused of committing a crime against a little piglet, only to be cleared later on. Then Officer Joe heads over to the pig family's house and talks to Daddy and Mummy Pig, telling them he's got bad news. So yeah, in this universe, Peppa ends up facing a pretty cruel fate. They really don't go easy on her, do they? American Dad is another series that's packed with adult humor, just like the last ones we mentioned. And yep, it also throws in a Peppa reference, but this time, surprise, surprise, the joke's pretty harmless. Just a silly comment instead of a brutal parody. The line comes from Roger, the alien who's part of the main cast. He says he's got a wallet with Peppa's face on it. Nice to know she's got a break from all the crazy parodies for once. But don't get too comfortable, because Robot Chicken definitely didn't stop at just one sketch mocking her. In another episode, Peppa shows up behind bars, talking with her parole officer. After accidentally getting mud on Zoe Zebra's brand new stuffed monkey, she had to find a way to get her friend a new one. So what did Peppa do? Simple, she decided to rob a toy store with her friends to get another monkey. But then George ended up telling Daddy Pig what happened, and Peppa, not handling the situation very well, she shot and killed both of them. Yeah, she's a full-on psychopath in this universe. Want to keep hanging out with us? Then check this out. Why not click on one of the 2 videos we've left right here on your screen? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.